There was a poetry competition final with two contestants, a university student and an old countryman. They each had 20 seconds to come up with a poem about Timbuktu. The student goes first and says, "Across the desert sands, crossed a lonely caravan, men on camels 2 by 2, destination Timbuktu." The crowd goes wild, cheering for the poem. The old countryman then goes, "Tim and I off hunting went, found some girls in a pop-up tent. They were 3 and we were 2, and I buck 1 and Tim buck 2. 4 insurance companies are in competition. One comes up with the slogan, "Coverage from the cradle to the grave." The second one tries to improve on that with "Coverage from the womb to the tomb." Not to be outdone, the third one comes up with "From the sperm to the worm." The fourth insurance company really thought hard and almost gave up the race, but finally came up with "From the erection to the resurrection." A man doing market research for Vaseline knocked on a door. He was greeted by a young woman who had 3 small children running around at her feet. He says, "Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm doing some research for Vaseline. Have you ever used this product?" She nods. "Yes, my husband and I use it all the time." The researcher then asks, "And if you don't mind me asking, what do you use it for?" "We use it for our private time," she replies. The researcher was a little taken aback. He says, "Usually people tell me they use it on a bicycle chain or to loosen up a squeaky hinge, but I know most couples actually use it for intimacy. I admire you for your honesty. Since you've been so open, can you tell me exactly how you use it?" "Absolutely," she replies. "We put it on the doorknob to keep the kids out." A teacher tells her students to write a sentence defining power. Once everyone has finished, she reads the sentences out to the class. "Power is when you can do good." "Good, Max. Nice sentence." That's an A. "Power is when you can do good and punish evil." "Very good, Sarah. Beautiful." That's an A+. "Power is when you have a lot of women and can sleep with them." Wait. "Johnny, what kind of filth are you writing? Change it to something proper at once." Johnny thinks for a minute and hands the teacher another piece of paper. She reads, "Power is when you have the ability and right to impose your philosophy upon others and to ruin their dreams." At school one day, Johnny's teacher asks the class to use the word contagious in a sentence. Cindy raises her hand. "Yes, Cindy?" She answers, "I was at the dentist's office with my mom, and she said not to play with the toys in the waiting room because the other kids were contagious." "Very good, Cindy," the teacher said. "Anyone else want to try?" Samantha raises her hand. "Yes, Samantha?" She answers, "My dad tells me not to yawn because then everybody else yawns. He says yawning is contagious." "Excellent work, Samantha. Very creative," the teacher praises. "Okay, one more volunteer." Johnny raises his hand. "Yes, Johnny?" "Well," he says, "I was helping my dad in the yard last week, and we saw the neighbor painting his house. He was using a small brush, so I asked my dad, 'Daddy, why is he using such a small brush?' And he says, 'I don't know, son, but it's gonna take that contagious.'" Boy wants a car from his dad. Dad says, "First, you gotta cut that hair." Boy says, "Hey, Dad, Jesus had long hair." And Dad says, "That's right, son. Jesus walked everywhere." A couple go to a bar during karaoke night, and they hear a man sing to most beautiful cover of Stairway to Heaven they had ever heard. Since they were planning their wedding at this time, they approached the man after his performance. "Wow, that was an amazing cover. Would you like to come perform at the reception of our wedding?" they ask him. "I would love to. As a matter of fact, I'm a justice too, so I could even wed you two in the same day," he replied. So it was settled, and the man showed up to their wedding and wed the two together. Everything was going just perfect until the reception. Every song the man sang was just horrendous. He was off-key in every verse, and at some points even forgot the lyrics. The moral of the story is, never book a judge by his cover. A nun walks into Mother Superior's office. She lets out a sigh, heavy with frustration. "What troubles you, sister?" asked the Mother Superior. "I thought this was the day you spent with your family." "It was," sighed the sister. "And I went to play golf with my brother." "We try to play golf as often as we can. You know I was quite a talented golfer before I devoted my life to Christ." "I seem to recall that," the Mother Superior agreed. "So I take it your day of recreation was not relaxing?" "Far from it," snorted the sister. "In fact, I took the Lord's name in vain today." "Goodness, sister," gasped the Mother Superior, astonished. "You must tell me all about it." "Well, we were on the 5th tee. And this hole is a monster, Mother. 540-yard par 5, with a nasty dogleg right and a hidden green. And I hit the drive of my life. The sweetest swing I've ever made. And it's flying straight and true, right along the line I wanted, and it hits a bird in mid-flight." "Oh my," commiserated the Mother Superior. "How unfortunate. But surely that didn't make you blaspheme, sister." "No, that wasn't it," admitted the sister. "While I was still trying to fathom what had happened, this squirrel runs out of the woods, grabs my ball, and runs off down the fairway." "Oh, that would have made me blaspheme," sympathized the Mother Superior. "But I didn't, Mother," sobbed the sister, "and I was so proud of myself." And while I was pondering whether this was a sign from God, this hawk swoops out of the sky and grabs the squirrel and flies off, with my ball still clutched in his paws. "So that's when you cursed," said the Mother Superior with a knowing smile. "Nope, that wasn't it either," cried the sister, anguished. "Because as the hawk started to fly out of sight, the squirrel started struggling, and the hawk dropped him right there on the green, and the ball popped out of his paws and rolled to about 18 inches from the cup." The Mother Superior sat back in her chair, folded her arms across her chest, fixed the sister with a baleful stare, and said, "You missed the fucking putt, didn't you?"